I think every relationship should be in this type of work, not trouble therapy, but connection therapy, which is what I do, or healing therapy. I think it would be wonderful if every couple did this because we're working in a positive energy. There's no pressure here to be happy. You get to come and connect in the unhappy moments too, and that's okay. We're not meant to be happy sometimes. Things are happening that are real serious.
Welcome to Your Second Act, the podcast that proves that life doesn't have to end at 40, 50, or even 60, because when it comes to living your best life, age is just a number. Welcome back to another episode of Your Second Act. I'm so excited that you've joined me again. Being in midlife can have its ups and downs, as we all know. It's a really interesting stage in life. But do you ever look at your partner and ask yourself, do I even like you anymore? I know this sounds a little confronting, but I think all of us, if we're really truthful, we'll probably ask ourselves that question. Because let's face it, midlife, trying to grow alongside someone else isn't always easy. And when you've been with someone for probably more than 30 years, it can also get a little bit stale. And as we navigate this stage in life, it's natural to start asking the question and wondering, are we actually still on the right path together? In today's episode, I'm joined by Dawn, a licensed marriage and family therapist who has not only overcome significant personal challenges, but she's also dedicated her life to helping couples reconnect and thrive in midlife, which I find so hopeful and so inspirational. Through her work and her nonprofit, Windows of Hope Counseling Center in California, Dawn brings invaluable insights into how we can focus on the us as well as the I. And I'm really excited to dive into this conversation and explore how we can navigate these challenges together, because I think it's so important that we work so much on ourselves, but it's really important to start looking at our relationships because, you know, we've been together for so long and it'd be so sad for it to come to an end because we find ourselves that our lives have changed. We no longer possibly have children to look after anymore. Maybe we're changing our careers. So life is shifting, but maybe our lives aren't shifting in the same direction. But after speaking to Dawn today, I realised that there is hope, that we've got to stop thinking, oh, well, we find ourselves together and we don't know what to talk about. We're different people. But she actually made me realise that there is so much more that we can do to work on our relationships together, to maybe bring a little bit of fun back in, because there was a reason why we came together, and there's a reason why there is hope that we can still continue on this same path, but it does require some work. Anyway, I'll stop there because I'm not the expert. So let's hand it over to Dawn, and welcome to Dawn's Second Act. Hi, Dawn. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi,
How are you?
for me. I'm well today. Thank you.
Awesome. Your journey from incredibly challenging beginnings to now thriving in your second act is truly inspiring. And I'm really looking forward to diving into your work as a marriage and family therapist, especially in helping couples navigate this unique time in our lives, midlife. But before we dive into that, I'd really love to hear about your journey that led you to create the Windows of Hope Counseling Center in California. So what inspired you to turn your personal challenges into a mission to help others?
Well, interesting that we're talking about midlife. I had my birthday yesterday, 55 years old. I just
Oh,
turned
happy birthday.
yesterday. So as you just said that, that came to my mind. I'm like, we really too are there in midlife and visiting that space. And I started therapy 40 years ago. So it's been 40 years since I had my first visit with my very first therapist. And it caused me to really reflect yesterday as I was kind of as we do on a birthday, visit our years and see where we're at. And I was telling my husband, "Oh, wow, I met you 40 years ago. It's been 40 years
Wow.
since I met
That's
him."
a
Mhm.
long time to be with one person, isn't it?
Well, we haven't been we took some time apart in the middle, but we've known each other since then. So the very first beginnings of becoming a marriage and family therapist happened at that age, at 15 years old, when I had my first therapist, and he did such beautiful work with me. I have no idea where he is now, but I had already been through foster care. I had been through addiction. I watched my grandmother die from cirrhosis of the liver. I watched my grandfather pass away as well from alcoholism. And a few years after that, after I first started therapy, my father left for the same reason, bipolar disorder and alcoholism and drug addiction. And so, um, my journey to visit a therapist for the first time was quite impactful, as you can imagine, because a lot of years went by after foster care before I visited with him. But really, the reason why I started therapy in the first place was because after running away and being in a safe house for a while, and I was assigned somebody to connect with myself and learn more about whatever trauma I came from. As I started to work through that, I wanted to as well become a therapist. Um, and I had a lot of work to do because I was getting all F's at school and running away and going through all the stuff I went through, not having anybody manage grades, all that kind of stuff. So I had to finish my high school time in 1 year and a half, in 18 months. I had to complete everything in order to go to
Wow.
university. Mhm. So I did that. I took extra classes and went to evening school, and I got it done on
My
time. Mhm,
gosh, what a
mm,
commitment. What do you
mhm.
think made you realize this, that you wanted to go to university? What was it?
I really wanted to be a therapist, like my therapist who helped me really see who I was, and he helped me work through such difficult things and helped me connect with my family on a different level. And I really wanted to do that work. And in order to do it, I had to go to school. In order to be a therapist, we have to go to university to do it. And he helped me know that it was possible to do it. Um, and I started to read books for the first time, even fictional love stories and stuff like that, and got into it. And I enjoyed that. And he just really helped open up my world. And I wanted to do the same thing. And I was hoping to work with young people. And on the journey of education, I met Harville Hendricks, who is the founder of Imago Relationship Therapy. And so I shifted and became more couples focused and less teenage focused.
And what is that type of therapy that you just spoke of?
It's called, well, if we pick a partner in the image of a characteristic of one of our family members who raised us, our primary caretakers. So the idea is that unconsciously, when I meet somebody and they feel like they're the one I absolutely am in love with, and I can't live without them, and I have to be close to them. That a lot of that has to do with, about this kind of thing in the beginning. And that whole piece was created by our unconscious because it's reminding us, that person is reminding us of one of our primary caretakers, and it's like their best version of themselves, of that person, though. Like, when you meet that person, it's like the best version of the lost family member, or that family member who raised me that couldn't quite get it right, I guess, or
Yes.
created the
You want to
lost.
right a wrong. Is that right? It's
Yes.
like righting a wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We wanna right the wrong. I love that language, yes. We wanna right the wrong. We wanna fix the problem.
Oh,
We
yeah.
wanna, yeah. And
We
this.
want to prove that, we're the ones who we're going to make the change, aren't we? It
Uh-huh.
doesn't matter, like hundreds of years before us, no one's been able to do it, but I'm going to do it. But
Me.
yeah, I can
Uh-huh.
imagine. And it's interesting. And I reflect on, I guess, my own experiences in that situation. I've been married twice. And it's interesting with both of my husbands, I do see traits of my dad,
Mhm.
and I find that very interesting, good
Mhm.
or bad. But yeah, I really am interested to get to know why do we do that? What is it? Why are we attracted to that?
And you said it perfectly earlier, and I like the language you used. We wanna right the wrong. This person will then help us through the relationship complete the trauma or the missing part, the lost part of me, the original me that I was when I came to life, when I took my first breath, what I was made to be. Right? We accommodate to our environment and whatever it is that we lost in ourselves or the thing that is unable to come out or be whoever I'm not able to be because of my experience, right? My mother used to tell me that I would talk, 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 talk all the time. And then when I went to foster care when I was 3, by the time she got me back at 5, I was quiet and would say nothing. It was hard to get me to talk at all. So what I lost was my ability to my voice, my presence, my being. I lost my ability to be who I am. When I met my husband, right, when I was young, 15, he would be the one to help me find that. And it's all unconscious, right? When we meet somebody and we fall in love and we're like, I'm in love. I say this all the time. That's really not about love. Love is when I give and I serve and I connect at this deep level. That's really the endorphins and all the energy of the body and the physical. It's very unconscious in the beginning. It's not a conscious love yet, right? And then it flips quick on us to the unconscious fight. The unconscious power struggle then comes. And both are unconscious, and a lot of couples, when they come to see me, it's both and, right? They go from like, "Oh, I'm madly in love, and now we're in the power struggle. I'm madly in love, and now we're in the power struggle." And they kind of flip back and forth. And we never move into the conscious relationship, the intentional relationship, because we're still in our adaptation that we learned when we were little. For me, it's being real quiet and not talking, right?
Mm,
So if I
yes.
don't if
I
I
so
don't talk,
relate.
grief. Yeah. I better be quiet. I better not talk. They'll notice me if I talk. Be quiet, right?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
then it never
obviously that
helped. Mhm.
well that by being that way, that doesn't serve you in a relationship, does it? Because you're
Well,
then giving the power to your partner.
or it doesn't serve me because even more importantly, yes, it does. It gives we don't really want to be in the power struggle. We want to be in the intentional relationship. But even more important than that, our immune system and our emotional system are the very same system. They're not opposite each other. So whatever I'm not saying gets stored in my body, right? And if it gets stored in my body, now I get sick. I catch illness, my immune system, immune disorders, all of those things come if I'm not speaking and I'm not saying the thing that I must say, right? So
So
that
how
it
did
doesn't have
you how did you personally learn to work through that? I mean, obviously from very tough beginnings, watching family with addiction moving into foster care, you were kind of on your own, fighting your own battle. How how did you become the person you are today through all of that?
I believe I'm on a hero like, I don't know if you've heard much about the hero's journey or Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. I like that
No.
language. Oh my goodness. Anyone who's watching or is interested, the hero's journey is amazing, but every good movie is based on the hero's journey, right? Wizard of Oz, Star Wars, you go, you accomplish a thing. There's people who are there to support you and to help you and are your guides. And then you have people who are out there kind of getting in your way. and you have lots of different experiences through life. And so you take your little stick in your knapsack and off you go into the world to learn. And there's all these beautiful people who come to visit with you that you meet and that you connect with and that teach you, right? And for me, specifically, I think a lot of my teachers along the way, my professors, my therapists, like I said, I've been in therapy for 40 years, a long, long time.
Yeah, long time.
And yeah, in those years, I've had wonderful therapeutic work. I believe that people like me who one day went to preschool and a stranger picked her up from school and took her to a new place that she didn't know and had no idea. And that attachment break for people like me who went through that, right? We need to be in therapy. I'm in therapy still. Like, I need to communicate and process and connect. And it's through that deeper work, visiting the little girl, taking care of her, meeting her needs, giving her all the things that she needs. Right. And I believe in John Bradshaw's work too, the old school 80s. He was like a really big deal back in the days. His name was John Bradshaw. Amazing. But he talked about, he has a book called Homecoming, and he has a book called Healing the Shame That Binds You, right? Taking our freedom. Shame takes our freedom, robs us of our ability to choose, right? And so I think along the way, all my mentors and all my professors and all my wonderful therapists and quilting is part of that too for me, my art. You can see behind me, I have a quilt sitting here.
Yeah,
That
beautiful.
Yeah, that was like a whole year-long process, that quilt, specifically. A lot of it's hand done, and it's for, the process of healing through a time in my life as well. My first divorce, as a matter of fact, is what that one represents, and the healing journey, and I believe I think that is what helped me know all of those people, all of that work, all of that dedication, helped me um, know who I am and heal the parts, right? The lost parts that I lost along the way. Although I still kind of fall back into it sometimes. Sometimes I'll get quiet and I take my
Yeah,
time. Hmm.
yeah. But it's doing the work, isn't it? It's
It
doing the
is.
work on yourself. And I speak about this a lot on the podcast. It's about the conditioning that we've had all our lives up to the age of 50 something. And it's very hard to shift that conditioning and those beliefs that we constantly tell ourselves. And it's kind of sad because it holds us back. And the problem is that you as an individual, you're dealing with this and all of a sudden you become involved with someone else and you have a partnership. And not only are you putting up with those beliefs, but you're bringing someone else into the situation. And the way I see it is like you were talking before, in the beginning, it's that love that we feel, that sexual connection, that romantic, amazing feeling that we all love. And I think we get
Hmm.
blindsided by that. And we're trying to right the wrongs as well. So we're trying to do all these things and we're saying to ourselves, this is the one, this is the person for me. But what I'm realizing now is we get to this stage in life and then we start to really look at ourselves and do the work on ourselves. And then sometimes it doesn't align with our partner anymore. And I know in Australia, 27% of divorces are actually people 50 plus. And it's
Wow.
because I
Okay.
believe that we no longer align. We've grown to a point where we're not growing together. And that's what I really wanted to delve into that with you because obviously
Uh,
you are working with couples like that. I mean, let's talk about that. Like, what advice can you give us who are possibly going through something like that in midlife?
yeah, for me, it's now making a new commitment, right? Because we made a commitment once upon a time. If we did, and we're married, let's say, we're post 50. It's really about a decision that we can make. And then it's a decision to become dialogical and conscious and to create smart goals together to create a new future. And of course, sometimes it's not going to work like that. And people have different ways they want to go and they can't create a connected vision. Most people that I talk to in the office are able to, because when we sit
Well,
down and
that's
we
good.
really put it on paper, right? Yeah, it is. If we could sit down and put it on paper, how can we learn how to connect with each other physically again? Because we're different now. And a lot of us who've raised kids together too, we've been busy, right? And we're not connecting that way. We just had all the kids at our house, not all, many of the kids at our house for the weekend and grandchildren. We had 3 grandchildren and quite a few kids. And so there really wasn't a lot of time as a couple to be alone, to connect, and we were exhausted. But I'm thinking
I'm
this is what
sure.
it's like when you have young children and you're married, right? So our
Yeah.
happiness levels go exponentially down whenever we first get married and we're young and we have those babies. And we know that. We have the statistics to prove that. That marital happiness goes down. So, really, happiness, we have this idea in our mind that marriage is supposed to be happy. Now, it's wonderful if we have happy moments, but in our 50s, a lot of things are happening. My parents are now both gone once I turned 50. My mother passed away, my last parent passed away. So a lot of times in our 50s, we're losing parents. Our children are launching. So that shared vision and goal that we had together, hopefully we're working together in that place. It falls apart. We don't have that anymore. So now we're left with each other. Or we have kids that are going through challenges, addiction, a mental illness, a lot of other things that create some tension as well. So we have extra tension in our 50s that can create a more difficult marriage. So I think honestly, if we had some type of support, even a therapist and you did 6 sessions a year, even or 12, or workshops or retreats or something to help work the marriage. We can't just let it kind of atrophy and sit there and think, "Oh, magic is gonna come." Magic is wonderful, and it is a thing. But we definitely need to put the work in to the intentional marriage. So that's what we're working towards now. It'd be wonderful we did that when we were young, but a lot of people don't know. They're too busy. We're working, we got little kids, we gotta get them to daycare, we gotta get them to school, we've gotta get them to their activities, there's stuff. Right, I did all that kind of fun. Then they
Yeah.
grow up. So what are some of the
And they
things
don't
that we
need
do?
you as much.
Right, right, and so or they need you too much, which is another
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
too. Some are still
Yeah.
home and doing other things. So so with that, some of the things that my husband and I like to do, we have dates, we roller skate together. We live here near Disneyland, so we have passes. We do that once a month. We go visit Disneyland. We go to the beach. We go to Hawaii. We just did a sleepover. We go away from home and do sleepovers here and there. So there's like visit new places. There's a lot of really cool activities, and we need to be intentional about that and really open up the communication about an honest communication about what our needs are and what's happening, right? Physically to our bodies as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
Mhm.
think we're in a stage of life, and you see it through social media, everywhere you look, it's all about you've got to work on yourself, you've got to be the better you. And it's always about you, you. Don't hear a lot about the two of you. And it's all well and good to work on yourself. And I'm the first to advocate for that, because if you don't know who you are, how could you possibly be a we? You need to
Yes.
work on yourself. But I do believe that there's not a lot about the two of you. And just listening to what you were saying, what you do with your husband, you do fun things. It's like, let's be young again and play. I think a lot
Yes.
of couples don't do that anymore. We just become very serious about life. And it's like, it's the same old, oh, I've seen him for the last 30, 40 years, and there's no fun, there's no spark. I get more of that from going out with my girlfriends. But why is that? Because when I see my girlfriends, I'm having fun. So why not bring
Yeah.
that into your marriage? And that really resonates with me.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we need to be more intentional about play. We need to have laughter. We need to still have orgasm if possible, right? Connection time like that. We need to have touch. We need to have open dialogical process where we're communicating and really listening and taking our time in that conversation, right? And really flowing through that conversation. So I think that's another um, piece to it that we are losing, right? Not enough time. Turn the TV off, right? And spend some time just really hanging out and getting to know each other. I like eye contact. I think that's important. Um, Many times I like to do that with my husband. We just kind of look, we just have eye contact for a minute, and we call that the silent mirror, right? A vocal mirror is what I heard you say. You make sense to me. And let me share with you what I know about that. When somebody shares, when our partner shares with us. But a silent mirror is quiet and it has no words and it just is looking and connecting. It's very intimate. It's quite wonderful.
What does that make you
Mm.
feel when you do that?
I think it depends on what he's feeling at the time, but it creates something, a collaborative experience, which I believe in more than compromise, collaboration, right? Where we're really creating an energy with that look. So if it makes me feel connected with him more, words look, we get lost. The words come and we get lost in the word. But in the silent mirror, there's this connection that's quite beautiful and an understanding that's a physical understanding rather than a cerebral understanding, right? And I think that's super important. Mhm. I have my couples do it here. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, be ready. That's what we do to start. So I
Yeah,
do that
yeah.
in the
I
beginning.
wanted to,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I wanted to speak more about your marriage therapy and counseling and services. So what do you offer?
Yeah, I offer couple sessions with couples, and I'm going to be starting a weekly, well, probably a monthly. I probably won't do it weekly to start. Zoom 2 hours, so we'll go over a concept and give people opportunity to ask questions or to process if they want during that. I'm thinking Friday nights would be the best time for the after the work week to just sit down and spend some time for the relationship. Um, and then in the couple sessions, usually when people come, we go over the basic assumptions and we learn to dialogue. We learn the process of how to listen and to empathize and to validate our partner. And then we also many times, most of the time, we bring up the original trauma that connected you to this relationship in the first place and we have the partner help lift that and do some of that old work as well. So there's support in the process. You're not alone in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in
Mhm.
those situations when people do open up, they've got no idea about each other's, say, trap trauma from years ago. And it's a
Mhm.
surprise because we don't feel comfortable speaking about those things. And you're definitely not going to share that when you first start dating, are you? So it's something that you
No.
suppress for a long time. And it's interesting. The other day, I read something that usually the one thing that attracted you to that person is the one thing that ends up annoying you about that person later on in life. Do you think that's got something
Yes.
to do with what we were speaking about?
It everything to do with it. That's exactly how it works. The very thing that attracted me in the very beginning is the thing that's
Yeah.
gonna annoy me now and be part of the power struggle. And it's also gonna be part of the romantic. So if we're bouncing from power struggle to romance to power struggle to romance, right? then I'm gonna love it one day and I'm gonna hate it the other day. I'm gonna feel like I'm crazy, right? Because it's like, well, I really love that today. Tomorrow, like the next
Yeah.
day, I'm like, oh God, I don't like that at all. Uh-huh.
So with
Mhm.
your clients that you see, they obviously come to you because there are issues in the relationship.
Yeah.
Would you say, well, how many of them actually walk out of your office feeling more united? Or do you find it's a 50-50 that some people, they just cannot repair the relationship after doing the work?
We have I will say I have amazing results of connection. Even my couples who couldn't I only have a couple of people who ever didn't stay together, but even those people felt connected when they left, and the reason why they couldn't make it work was that the trauma in the relationship was so big. So, if it was like a pretty intense affair or, drug use or, something really, really a real huge rupture that we could never get through, they can still learn to, "You make sense. I know you did your best. I know that there were things that there were, circumstances that led you to doing the thing you did, and I'm gonna say goodbye to you for a romantic relationship or a marriage anymore. I'm going to still be kind and connect with you and be friend with you because we're raising littles or something like that. But and I'm always going to have your back, but I can't be with you every day in relationship anymore." There's some people where that happens, but I have amazing results of connection, in my office with the work that we're doing. Almost everyone, but I get referrals from people who've already been to me, so they already know that I'm like this magical marriage connector or relationship connector, so I kinda have like I have a reputation for that, of saving that and finding this passion, and so people are curious. They're like, "If you got them together and giggling and doing dates and playing, then, like, I know." You know what I mean? So people are already coming in, a lot of people who come to
Knowing
see me.
that. Yeah.
So, like, I don't get the people
Yeah.
who wanna
Yeah.
break up at the start, usually. They're interested
Yes.
in connecting with
Yes.
their person. Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I've never done marriage counseling ever. And I used
Mm,
to associate it with you only go to a marriage counselor if you're in trouble. But what I'm
mhm.
learning from you is that you don't have to be in trouble. It's probably good to just have some time where you connect with an expert
Mhm.
to see what comes up, to keep that relationship flowing and strengthening. So, I mean, what's your recommendation, that should a couple come together and seek some advice once a year for a few sessions? What would you say?
Yeah, yeah, each person is so different. Some people come to me once a month, some people come to me only when big things are happening, some people come once a week, some people see me twice a week. And it has more to do with, whatever the original trauma is or whatever's going on in life, right? Because some things are really big. If we have, like, a big event that's happening that our relationship like, we just really need that support, that connecting support through an external situation, let's say. Let's say somebody's has cancer or somebody, um, had a home invasion or who knows, like, things happen, right? And so we need that support to help us communicate and to know, I guess, organize thoughts or understand what's happening. Um, and so I think it's just different for everyone. I think every relationship should be in this type of work, not trouble therapy, but connection therapy, which is what I do, or healing therapy. I think it would be wonderful if every couple did this, because we're working in a positive energy, and we're not. There's no pressure here to be happy. You get to come and connect in the unhappy moments too, and that's okay. We're not meant to be happy sometimes. Things are happening that are real serious. And I love that you pointed out this whole idea that we hear about the self and individuals, because that became a really strong movement during the French Revolution. And the whole reason why George Lucas and Joseph Campbell created Star Wars, the movie back in the day, speaking of the hero's journey, is because there was too much individualism and not enough connection and group. And so, the whole social movement. And in the United States, we're seeing that a lot right now. This whole social connection, everybody's in this place of joy, and we're seeing it a lot on our social media. And as we go into our election and Olympics and all kinds of fun world connection, and even bringing like Snoop Dogg's from here, right? Long Beach. So he was even there. And it was like, oh, look at who's over there. He's from right down the street here. And so it's
Yeah,
kind of
wow.
neat to see. Yeah. It's like we're all connecting, even people who you would
Yeah,
think you would never connect with. I mean, his words, a lot of the things that he's been saying is quite wise. And a lot of those that whole group is getting sober, and not necessarily because 'cause they're addicts, because they said, "Hey, I don't need to drink. I don't need to smoke weed. It's okay. I can choose to be present without having an ailment. I don't have to be sick. I don't have to be I can choose to be present and connect." It's just pretty
yeah.
cool, to me.
I
Yeah.
think so. And to stop running away. I think this is, as humans, that's what we do. We don't want to sit in the uncomfortableness of feeling, I don't want to feel this. And my coach once said to me, you have to learn to sit in it,
Mm,
feel what it feels to move through it. Because if we keep running, we'll never work it out. We'll never kind of heal ourselves, will we? And
right.
yeah, I think that's so right. And as far as addiction, I think a lot of people rely on that because it's a form of escapism, isn't it? We don't want to feel. But I'm like you, I'm noticing that a lot of my friends are saying, I don't want to drink alcohol anymore because it actually doesn't make me feel good. I don't like the way I feel the next day. And in midlife as well, it just doesn't work. I think when we're younger, we can kind of push through all those hangovers and feelings of whatever. But now it's like, no. And I'm finding myself the same. It's like, I rather get enjoyment. I love food. So I rather get enjoyment out of eating a lovely dinner. So it's just all those little
Yeah.
things that we try and put in front of us so we can just deal with life. But the reality is, it's going to come up again and slap you in the face. So why not just deal with it?
Yes, and learn to be in relationship with it and connect with that part of
Yeah.
us, the one that's hurting. Because when we were little and we learned how to feel that pain in the very beginning, that part of us was lonely. There was nobody to tell. Most of us who've been through trauma had no one to tell, hey, this is happening to me. This painful thing just happened. There was no one to talk to. So now we grow up and we feel a feeling and we're like, then we're doing the same thing that happened to us when we were little. Oh no, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to think about that. But if we sit
Yeah.
with it and feel it and learn how to feel the feelings and build the container to hold it with our partner too, how beautiful is that?
Yes.
Our partner is a witness with
Absolutely.
us and helping us, and how
Yeah.
beautiful now that now nobody's ignoring us anymore. We have somebody to listen. Ourselves, our lover, our therapist, our coach, as you said,
Yeah.
whoever's
Yeah.
there doing the work, right? Mhm.
So, and just speaking about coach, therapist, it's just made me realize how we all need help. We all need help from an external force. You can't
Mhm.
necessarily do it on your own. I've
Mhm.
found it has been so helpful to me this
Mhm.
past year just by getting the help, having that person to speak to. But I'm
Mhm.
realizing maybe as a couple, it would also be beneficial to work on us, even though I feel we don't have an issue. But how nice would that be just to help our relationship? Like I said before, it's not always just about me. It's about the two of us. How are we going to move forward in the future? And let's start making those goals just the two of us instead of always involving our kids and all our external forces. I think that's probably why we get to a point in midlife where things start to fall apart because we're no longer aligned. We've been
Yeah.
so distracted. But speaking to you, I'm realizing that no, everything can be salvaged. It's just having to do the work together.
Yes. Yes, and then the other thing too that I do a little language upgrade on the issue part of it or trouble, and we call it growth edges. So, working through the growth edges and helping us create new growth edges to move through. And so, my couples and I, the language we use is that we came in because we had a growth edge, and then we have growth gifts that come from that, right? So, anytime there's new growth, there's pain. Right, and so now we learn the dialogue so that we can work through that growth and then make a shift. And I say a lot that if I have a burn on this hand and no burn on this hand and I blow on the burn, it hurts. But if I blow here, it feels good. Same blow. So if I have a wound here and I'm blowing on it soft, it hurts. So we need to talk about it and heal it. And so that way we can grow from it. And if I have had a splinter that I got let's say when I was 3, when I went to foster homes, right? That splinter's still in there. And now I'm 55, 52 whole years later. All of a sudden, that I better get that thing out. It's time to feel freedom and to be ready to feel joy. And the sky's the limit, as they say. We live in abundance, right? And so we can do that now. We're not stuck. And we don't have to live in that pain anymore. We can nurture the little one in us and say it's gonna be okay. We can move forward. She's done being ignored.
Yeah,
It's time for her to say what she needs to say, right?
absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's such an interesting stage in life,
Mhm,
midlife,
mhm,
and I think it affects every part of our life.
mhm.
But if you are in a relationship and you might be wondering if this is or is not for you, I think we owe it to ourselves to actually find out. And I think it means seeing someone like yourself
Mhm.
doing that work and really being open because maybe you can't do it together initially. But what advice
Yeah.
would you give to couples who are possibly feeling like that at the moment?
The advice that I would give, if I were to give advice, would be to find someone for sure that you can connect with to help. But another thought that I have, and I was thinking this while you were just finishing your sentence there, is that if you really are nervous about going to a session, which I really understand. I remember my very first session when I was 15 and thinking, I'm not crazy. I don't need to see a therapist, all those kind of things. I need to be broken. I need to be all these things in order to go. That is a lot of why I'm starting going to do these Zoom sessions for that could be a group of couples to a learning experience, like a more of an educational experience to help with these different concepts that I teach. I have assumptions and different concepts and ideas that they call Donisms around here. And they're different ideas that I was thinking about grabbing one, right? Isn't that kind of fun? And then teaching the dialogue to the group, and maybe that'll feel a little safer and a little less intimidating. And I think then you jump on and you have this minute, you learn a little bit. It's just a couple hours, once a month, commitment, and that's it. You drop in or you don't, because I'm always a get to, never a have to. All of my sessions are that way. And my husband, same thing. I tell him I'm a get to, not a have to. And if we're a get to relationship. So this will be led the same way. It'll be a get to group, and if that day you don't wanna do it, you don't have to, and if you drop in, you do. Uh, and I think that might be a good start, just to kind of, ease you in and get a little bit more information that way. That was my
Yeah.
thought, and
Yeah,
maybe
I
that would
like
be a
that.
good.
Less intimidating.
Yeah, yeah. And you could talk or
Yeah.
not. You could put turtle or a hailstorm, up to you. How you want I
Yeah.
always talk about adaptations. There's turtles and hailstorms. And whatever our attachment style when we were little, however we learned to adapt, you're either a turtle or a hailstorm. So you could be talking, or you can be quiet. It doesn't matter. However you
E
show up, you get to be.
exactly.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
showing up, that's the main thing. So, by
Um,
showing up, meaning you wanna do the work, you wanna try and maybe salvage your relationship or just improve it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think we definitely owe that to ourselves. I've
Yeah.
absolutely loved our chat today, Dawn. It's been quite an eye opener for me as well because it's something that I don't really think about. Like I said before, it's always about yourself, working on you, but definitely, I mean, your partner is such a big part of your life. And if you want to be together till the end, well, you have to put the work into both of you. So we can't just let that slip away.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
often
I
say
will,
oh, I was gonna say one more thing.
yeah,
I always cut it off. Um, the behind every complaint is a wish. So remembering that there's a wish that we
I
need to
like that.
work towards. I kind of I talk about that a lot, and I couldn't find the original source. I've heard it many times by many people, um, but I love it. It's true. In
Yeah.
conflict is
Yeah.
growth trying to happen, so we can get there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. Well,
mhm.
I will put your information in the show notes if anyone is interested in reaching out to you. It sounds really interesting and they can find out more information about your sessions. So,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Um, I I'm definitely going to look into it because I'm all about trying to empower myself in different ways. Not sure what my husband's going to think of it, but I'll have an open conversation with him.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, well, to end my episode, I like to ask all my guests the same question. And sometimes a powerful quote can offer guidance and insight. And I absolutely love quotes and I like to hear other people's quotes. So, is there a quote that has stuck with you throughout your life?
Yeah, I'm a I well, I just said it, like, I have it on the front of my website even, and that is behind every complaint is a wish, and I remind myself of that constantly. What is the thing inside of me? And I don't mean just complaint to my partner, but if I'm ever feeling that agitation, which I call a complaint inside of me, something that needs to be said that I'm not saying, what is the thing that I need to say and what is the thing that I'm hoping for? What is the thing that I'm striving for? So that's what that means to me is behind every complaint is a wish. And what is it that I'm wishing for today? What am I not saying no
Oh,
to? Right? Or what am I not saying yes
yeah,
to in my life? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That's very thought provoking. I like that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh. Well, thank you for sharing your time and your thoughts and expertise, especially on midlife marriage or relationships, I should say. I think it's a really important subject. But as I said, if anyone is interested in knowing more, I will put your website in the show notes and people can reach out to you. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and hope to connect soon, Dawn.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Your Second Act. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could rate and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to me.